Sweet.
All right, my boy Josh Hill is not in the studio once again. Josh just pointed out that I've never actually done one of these with him in the studio, so this is just par for the course for us, bro.
That's how it rolls.
We're in Melbourne, and we've got a sweet. If you're just listening, we've got a pretty sweet view. We're in the Linfox booth, so thanks, Andy. And we're watching the track get built right now. Talking some WSX. Josh, what, fifth in the series, mate?
Yeah.
Fifth in the world right now. How's it feel?
I mean, fourth, really. If
Dude, Tomac's not here, so
Right in
that
the
spot's
mix.
there. So what are we going for the box this weekend?
I mean, I'd like to. The last time I was here, AusX, I got up on the box, and yeah, I mean that I'd like to. I mean, last weekend I didn't even start. I don't think one moto inside the top 10, and then in those short races, I still kind of clawed my way back through. So hopefully I just worked on some starts this week, and yeah, that's kind of
You're in with a shot.
if I can get a good start, I feel like I can battle up front for sure.
So I didn't get to go to Cardiff. I was going to go to Cardiff, but Millsy had his wedding on, so shout out to Jack. Congratulations on the wedding. How was the experience? Because I watched the broadcast. Obviously, the first broadcast of any like new series is not going to be like a true reflection of like the event itself, I feel like, but looked really good.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I watched just kind of like all the motos, like the condensed version of the broadcast, and I didn't really see what everybody was complaining about. Maybe it was different when you're watching it live and there's some downtime or something, but
Yeah.
I don't know. The race was sick. Like the town, the Cardiff, like where we were at was so rad. Like the stadium was right in the middle of town. The hotel was right there. There was restaurants and bars. Like the place it was going off. It was a cool experience. And then it didn't look like I did when I watched it. It didn't look like there was that many people, but there was a lot of people. Like
Yeah.
they just had, for some reason, they had the bottom floor like all plastic over it, and like they didn't offer those as seats because I guess the stadium, it's kind of like got a mound in the center.
Yeah.
So because of all the jumps and stuff, they didn't want to have people like with bad views, so they put everybody up top. But,
Yeah.
I mean, it was loud. People were stoked. Like all day long, like in the streets, it was like you couldn't even walk around. It was all moto fans just blowing horns, and I mean, yeah, all those buildings there like built in like 1,000.
Yeah.
Like everything's all old, and I was pumped on it.
That was my one bit of feedback that I actually gave down to the production team today, was that on the broadcast you just couldn't hear the fans, but I was having people, like, we actually stayed up live. It was like 3 a.m. when it was on in Oz, and we stayed up live to watch it, and it sounded like there was no one there. But then I'd get people were sending me a bunch of like Instagram stories or whatever from the event, and it was like insanely loud, dude.
Yeah, I mean, people were all over the streets the whole day. And I mean, in the crowd, it was going off. Like when I hit that quad, like
Yeah.
the place, it erupted. It was sick. Like that was definitely the highlight for me, for sure. It was cool. I mean, the fans all seen it. They were all like, nobody had hit it yet,
Yeah.
in all the races. So it was just kind of a cool moment.
Dude, it must just be cool for you just in general to be like back at the races, and then like the spotlight's on you, and then you uncork something like that and the crowd goes crazy. Like that's something that I guess, I don't know, I feel like you're like sort of known to be that guy. So like for you to have that moment, that feels right.
It's just cool because a lot of times, like in Supercross, we do stuff like that, but it'd just be in practice, and then
Yeah.
maybe like 100 people in the stands, like seeing it and they're stoked. But to have that opportunity where the spotlight's on you and the whole stadium's there watching one person,
Yeah.
it's just I think it's cool for me as a rider, but I think it's really good for all the sponsors, like
Yeah.
just to actually get that time where spotlight's on one person, focusing on the sponsors, and it's just it's cool all the way around.
Yeah, I always thought, and I'm pretty sure I've spoken about it before, but I always thought that opening ceremonies in the US could be a Super Bowl. So
Yeah.
you like bring the guys out, you play their song, you do their whole deal, like a lap around, and then it's like on the gate, bang, hot lap, and then that gives you like that kind of gate pick. Because you're right, like there's so many advantages to it. I think it's like a good chance for fans to like really connect with someone too. Like I feel like just to get to see like an individual rider's style, like the way that you rode the Cardiff track is like different to Kenny and different to Eli. So I just think there's a lot of different like nuances that could like make that pretty special. And I think that it was sick that these guys did that Super Bowl, and I think it was a lot of people's like favorite part of the event.
Yeah, I mean, I think that'd be a great idea if they took note and did something like that. I just you know, they got their schedule, and that's kind of the way they do it. And you know, it's not broke, so I fix it. I feel
That's
like
true.
is how they do it, but it's cool. Like with this series, we get to try out these new ideas and these new things and see what works. And definitely, if you were there in the crowd, like that was, it seemed like a high point for the crowd.
What was had you done a Super Bowl before? Because they've done them here, like in the OzX and the the OzX Opens in the years previous. Was that your first one, or had you done it before?
No, I've done it before at quite a few.
Oh, like
different-
Bercy and stuff do it as well,
I think
too.
like Geneva used to
Yeah,
do it.
yeah.
They're always kind of playing with the, you know, the schedule and the format and everything too. Like they used to have like these elimination races and stuff. Like
Really?
they're always trying new stuff, which is kind of cool.
How's it feel as a rider doing the Super Bowl lap? Like, do you feel pressure? Like, is it hard to throw down a heater, or does it feel pretty similar to like the way you're doing it in quali?
I didn't even really like, my lap was just clean, and then I hit the quad. Like it
Yeah.
wasn't like a crazy fast lap or anything. I think the whole time I kind of was thinking, okay, just hit my marks, and then, you know, make sure I do the triple before the quad just perfect so I can, you know, like
Yeah.
I knew that was my one moment to shine. You know, I know it's gonna
Yeah.
be kind of hard to get out in front and lead and bust something like that out and be seen. So I just wanted to have a clean lap, and when I pulled it out, I was just I was pumped because I did it twice in practice, and that was one of the most violent transitions of any jump I've ever hit, because it was
Really?
kind of a small 3-footer, and it seemed like the spacing was a lot shorter in between those two jumps.
Yeah.
And it was a steep lip, and the landing was, we measured, it was like 82 feet or something like that.
That's a pretty big hit off a 3-foot lip.
Well, yeah, I mean, you didn't even have a full bike length of flat transition into it, so you just had to be perfect. And then, so I was a little bit, you know, I didn't want to frame it and look like an idiot. I guess the only pressure
Yeah.
is just not looking like an idiot.
I feel like people just generally appreciate the effort. You know what I mean? It's like, hey man, we appreciate the effort.
It was cool. I had fun.
And Tomac didn't do it. Kind of got that over him, you know.
I mean, Tomac won everything, so
Yeah.
you know, it doesn't matter. It really wasn't that
Take
much.
your wins when you can get it, you know.
I'll take that one. No, but, I mean, I don't think it was really that much faster, just because like you kind of had to. The next turn was so slippery, and it wasn't banked very good.
Yeah.
So even if you went triple and single and just launched out and then kind of made a quick pivot,
Yeah.
it really wasn't a whole lot faster.
So would it have been faster if the berm was like way peakier and you could have just like really tucked in and railed it, or?
Yeah, or just some more traction or something, or ruts. You
Yeah,
know, where
yeah.
like it was just the dirt there got real. It seemed like it was going to be soft, and then it just got real hard packed.
Is it? Do you think that the dirt gets like better over years that they run there, or is it like the dirt kind of stays the same? Does that make sense? Because I feel like some tracks, like there'll be some tracks where it's like a new venue on the series, and then they go there year after year, and it's like the dirt kind of gets better over time. Is that like a real thing?
I don't know. Some places they store the dirt. You know, like they have a dirt storage, and then maybe they screen it more times and it gets better. I don't know, but I don't think there's really anything wrong with the dirt. I thought the track was sick.
Yeah.
The only thing that I would say is like they maybe should have moved some of the hay bales or the
cardboard boxes. Yeah.
Like maybe move them closer to the berms, just so that like the insides weren't so far away from the berm.
Yeah.
Because they just it seemed like they opened the corners up too much to where the outside was too far away.
Yeah.
So then it just made everybody kind of do that road race line up the inside.
Yeah.
Like even before and after the whoops. Like you should never go inside before whoops and jump through 'em.
and it be faster.
And it'd be faster.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it was like you could rail the outside and then just absolutely annihilate the whoops, and then go outside and be as fast as it wouldn't be like any different than if you just went up the inside and just popped 3 and called it a day.
Yeah. Well, is there any are these guys asking for any feedback when it comes to the track stuff?
I mean, the guys that did the track in Wales is Justin and Outfee and one of the guys from Bakers.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're like the coolest dudes. They do a
Yeah.
really good job on the track, and you know they kind of asked us, you know, what we thought of it and everything. But you know, there was really nothing that I would tell them to do different with the track that at Wales, maybe other than throw maybe a little more water to begin with.
Yeah.
Just so we would kind of get the moisture into the dirt and maybe get a few ruts and things like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, the way they built it was good. And it was just different. Like everybody was, a few people were complaining like, oh, the tabletops are too short and steep. And it's like, yeah, okay, but it's different.
Yeah.
You know, like it doesn't have to be the same cookie
Same
cutter
spec, yeah.
track for us to have good racing. Like, you know, if you like that, perfect. Go, you know, the States the tabletops
Still
always be
there.
the same in the States, you know?
Yeah.
But
well, I think the one cool thing was the track was wide.
yeah.
Which I think was cool. Like they obviously they got a bit more room. But yeah, I didn't really think about the way that you said with like the track, kind of the markers. You don't really want like those road race lines. But what did it feel like a more open track for you?
Yeah, I thought the track was good. Like the width of it was good. I think they built it like 25 feet wide.
Yeah.
Which in the States, I think they're 20 feet wide. And then when you put the bales on them, you know, it kind of turns into like 18 feet. They're supposed to be 20 feet is what the rule book says. But, you know, sometimes it's questionable whether maybe they're a couple of feet skinnier. But I don't think that was the reason that the corners, like it was just the corner markers just didn't seem like they were put in the right place.
Yeah.
You know, like there's just somebody, maybe they just needed one more guy on the payroll just to walk around and make sure the track markers were in the right place. So, I mean, if that's for the first round, that's the worst thing. I think it was all right.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I definitely got a bunch of messages of just punters that weren't at the event that were like, the track fucking sucked and it was so dangerous. I'm like, I don't know if this looks any like slicker or more hard-packed than Phoenix or, you know, like Salt Lake City. I mean, I feel like we see dry and slick Supercross tracks.
Well, and everybody that got hurt in that same section, and that section wasn't like dangerous or anything. They were all bike malfunctions, or like I don't know if
Dino got cross-jumped a little bit, or like he made a mistake, or, you know.
And he didn't really get he just got a little banged up, right? Like he's racing this weekend, and then Clout had a big one. But I don't like he either hit neutral or maybe a rock got in his chain. It was something, you know, out of his
control.
It wasn't the track's fault, you know. So
and then a chain breaking on JG's
chain
bike.
breaking,
that doesn't happen. Like you don't really see that a lot.
It shouldn't happen. I've seen a lot of bikes pulling up to the line and like with kind of tight chains. I don't know if that was the case with his bike or not, but yeah, no, that shouldn't happen. But yeah, every once in a while, some companies just get bad batches of material. You know, it's happened to the best companies. So
yeah. I've seen swing arms break. Like I've seen all sorts of shit go down.
I mean, that's the biggest, like one of my biggest scares is chain snapping. Like I change a chain like every 5 hours, even though like
damn, you're making me scared now because I do it like in 50.
On moto, if I'm just like trail riding or riding a sand track, I'll just let it run. But like if I'm riding Supercross, like I'm constantly. As soon as there's one little kink in it, pull that thing off. We're done.
Yeah. Metal ramps. What's your take on the metal ramps?
They need to be bigger.
Yeah. Amen, brother.
Like it's good. I think they build it. It's like the same size jump as like a Supercross finish line, but they build it out of a ramp.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good. I just wish they'd put it at 75, so that like we had
really arc off that thing.
Well, that way we actually like we're not. We have to gas it to make it instead of like trying to scrub it, you know.
Yeah.
But either way, it's cool. I think this weekend will be good. We got a dragon back like right into it.
Yeah.
So that'll be, you know, it'll slow the pace down. So you won't just be trying. Hopefully, you'll have to give it some juice to get over it.
Yeah. So Cardiff, you were carrying so much speed that you're like pretty much chopping the throttle up, kind of deal.
Yeah, and then like at Cardiff too, it was I don't know why, but they just kept getting the biggest pothole right in front of the ramp. I don't know if that's why everybody was getting flats or not, but so I would kind of do my line on like where the pothole wasn't, just because I hated that feeling of just like bottoming out into the face of the ramp. But I think it looks like they've got some dirt piled up in front of where the ramp's going to go, so hopefully they'll make that transition just a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, everything for me, like it just I think the event was awesome. I posted one of the question boxes on Instagram, and it was the most responses I've ever had, and it was all from people that were at the event, and I got just pumped with positive like messages of people that I think like the whole sentiment of this series is just like giving fans around the world a chance to see Tomac, a chance to see Roczen, a chance to see you, a chance to see Dean. Like that's Dino's home Supercross. You know, like being called the British GP. Like there was so much, I guess it just like it played out the way they wanted it to, in terms of like fans that never get to see Supercross getting to see Supercross and just being super pumped on it. And I was listening to Tommy Searle's podcast, and they were saying that like they were in the pub just drinking before the event, and then there's all the old boys in the pub are just like, oh, what the fuck's going on at that, at the stadium? Like, what's Supercross? And then he was saying like a bunch of them just got on and bought tickets and went to the event. So it's like it just seems like that was a really positive like launch point for the series, and it kind of ticked the boxes that we're all kind of hoping this would tick, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, being there and seeing it in person, I thought it was great. I mean, there was a lot of people. The track was good. The competition's good. Like, there's a lot of guys in both classes. I mean, the 250F class was, McElrath won it with, like, what did he win? Like, or he get like a 5.36 or something. I mean, it was good racing. The only thing that's kind of tough with the format is it's so quick that they go straight back to the gate, and it's almost like we need a little bit more time to do some math.
To figure out like where you're at in the overall and how to play it.
Yeah, like going into my last moto, I really didn't even know what place I was sitting in. I mean, I got a 5 and a 7 going to the last one, so I knew I was probably 5th to 7th, right? But I didn't know exactly how everything played out. So, it's I'm sure as every round comes, like they're gonna keep figuring out how to make it a little bit smoother and make the fans a little bit more informed on how everything's playing out.
Yeah. How about this for an idea? So there was a lovely Gypsy Gang member in the DMs that had a pretty solid idea. I think he thinks that we should do the 2 motos back to back. So go 2 motos lights, 2 motos 450, and then re-rack the lights, so it's like a final moto, and then re-rack the 450s for a final moto. So then you're still getting that 3 moto format. The last moto can be longer, but then it sort of like builds a bit of suspense as to who's going to win the overall, and then it kind of gives people that time to figure out exactly where you're at. I still think the pacing, like no real gaps in the in the racing. I think you could fit it to the same sort of TV schedule, but I don't know, that seems like maybe one of the workarounds for that, because a few people said the same thing, like I just didn't know where the fuck I was even at.
Yeah, no, I think that'd be a great idea. And then you have the 2 shorter races would be back to back, so you'd have that sprint pace and then have to recover and then go again, and then actually be able to go back to the pits and if something's wrong on your bike, actually address it. Where like right now, if if you fall over and you bend your clutch lever, or if your bars are twisted, or whatever the case, it's like, do I pull in and fix this and just scratch this moto, or do I just try to ride with my bike bent the whole time? So I mean, if you had that 20-minute break between the second and the third, let everybody catch up to what's going on, let the riders catch a break, and then have that final 12 lapper or whatever it is, that's half again as long. I think that'd be good.
Yeah, because I think that was probably just one thing for me watching it, is it feels like it's over before it starts. But then, like you said with the lights class, I think it did what it is designed to do. Like, it's supposed to be super unpredictable, multiple gate drops. You've got to be super consistent, and it's going to give a lot more people a chance to be in the mix. Like you said, McElrath won without winning moto. Oldenburg, I think, did he even end up getting on the podium in the end?
Yeah, he got third, I think.
But he won the first,
1:19.1. He got in a big first turn pile up in the second one.
Well, and that's cool that you can still get in a first turn pile up and still get on the box.
Well, I think that was kind of an anomaly, that race. I mean, it was just so spread out. I don't know what. I think Blows had one good moto, right? Like a second, and then the other ones were kind of a little bit off, and he ended up second, almost won.
Yeah.
So it's. I think it'll be probably not as jumbled up this weekend, but again, that class has a lot of really good guys in it that, there's probably 5 or 6 guys that can win, right?
Yeah.
That makes it.
Dude, maybe more. You got Bogle is in there. You got Sealy that's in there. I feel like
Moss.
Yeah, Mossy's in there. I feel like Aaron Taney didn't get to show. Yeah. He's good, and I don't think he got to show that.
Chisholm was in second in the first round,
Chisholm.
and got a flat tire and went down hard. So he was he was looking really good, and then his race kind of got screwed too. So probably 7 or 8 guys that realistically could win.
Yeah.
Oldenburg looked like the man.
Yeah.
But then, Anstey kind of looked like the man at
Oh,
times
yeah,
too.
we haven't even said Anstey.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's definitely interesting. Like, I don't know. In the 450 class, you've got Ken, and we had Eli, and Brayton and Freese. But the depth of the 250 class is like the depth of both is big, but the 250 class, there's a lot of guys with similar speed.
Yeah, and I think it's like such a weird feeling in this year because it's like a pilot series. I'm pretty sure Indo was scheduled, like they were going to try and do a race in Jakarta. But then I'm pretty sure Bailey went there, and the stadium just like kind of wasn't up to scratch yet, like from what I understand, and they didn't want to risk like the product not being as good. So I think that for fans at home, like if we kind of saw these guys like week in and week out, like we did an 8-round series, like I think what you're saying about like that lights class, it'd be this like wide open championship that you'd really want to watch to see how it went down. I think that 2 motos, it's almost like 2 races, it's like almost a bit of a tease. And then I think that in the States, you've kind of got Supercross that rolls into motocross, which rolls into Supercross, which rolls. So I think that the storylines just like always kind of keep going, whereas this, it's just like day one. There's not really, the storylines aren't set, but I really think they're there, eh?
Yeah, and then the way they're doing the points, which I didn't even. I guess I'm an idiot for not reading the rule book on the team app that we got, but I didn't realize that every moto, like every race of the Triple Crown is a points paying moto towards the actual championship. Yeah. I was thinking, okay, I got 5th, I probably got 18 points or whatever. Then I looked, I'm like, no, I got like 46 points or whatever it was, which it makes the gaps, it made my gap bigger from like, my placing to being in the championship. But if you look at the 250 class, it's like anybody that was in the top 6 has a chance at winning this championship still.
Yeah, right.
It's like only like 7 points or 8 points from like 1st to 6th, the way it all worked out. So I mean, it just adds more parity to the whole championship. And then if you start adding like 8 or 9 rounds into it, somebody that
shit'll be wide open.
Somebody that's just real consistent and stays in the mix could be a guy that that could still win the championship versus somebody that has a couple real good races and tosses it away, because even if on paper you get 5th or 6th at the race, if you throw away a moto, you're losing a lot of points.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, so I guess like going then from this season into like the years to come, like how do you see this playing out? Like I see you being here and I see you doing this series for a bit, but like who do you see becoming like kind of staples in this championship? And like, I don't know, are there any guys that you can kind of see coming across? Because I think that that's probably like the biggest question mark that people have at the moment. And I think it's like, it's just like internet drama, I guess, that we've all been indulging in because we've kind of got something to talk about. But I think that's been like the big question. And even when I talk to guys like Townley and like people that are all for this series and like want this to be as good as it can be, even they've still got like kind of question marks over like, okay, so who's actually going to be like long-term players in it? Like, have you thought about that and like some ways guys are going to get into this, or like, I don't know?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just whoever doesn't want to do outdoors, really. You know, I think it's cool, like what they're doing in the States with the SMX and those 2 championships getting together. I know that's something that like, the guys at Monster, they're stoked to see. They've wanted to have happen for a long time. Okay. And now it's coming, and just the timing of it is, I feel like it's a little bit crazy, and definitely, there's but it's something that's been I feel like it's been in the works, you know. But now it's the timing of it's great because now there's competition between the series. Now you have 2 promoters that are trying to push the sport, and the winners are going to be the fans and the riders, because 100%. Now we have more opportunities. So I don't know. It's just going to be who doesn't want to do outdoors, or who is kind of, maybe somebody falls into something where they don't land where they want to land in the U.S.
Yeah. And
they can land something good here.
Yeah.
And then opens up their eyes to how cool it is to travel the world racing Supercross, or just people that want to change the scenery. Like if when you race Supercross in the States, let's say you're going to Indy. and you got to fly from California to Indy, which isn't that bad of a flight, but it's a 6-hour flight. You land there and you want to be in that town as, maybe
little as possible.
as little,
Yeah.
so that you can get back to the track and you can train and you can do your
Recovery,
thing, because
yeah.
you have Saturday only, where this, we caught some rain back home in North Carolina, like the week leading up to this. So I didn't get to practice as much as I wanted to this last week, but we get, a good amount of practice on Friday to shake everything down, and then we race. So, I feel like the travel schedule kind of leans towards actually taking in the environment and being around the people and kind of getting more involved in the, what's happening, and less just like, okay, I have to pin it straight back to the test track to get ready for, to get 3 days in to pin it back.
And I guess like everyone's kind of in the same boat, right? Because like if you look back to, let's say, like the James, Chad, Ricky era, where it was like they were looking for every single like millimeter of advantage that they could. So then they started getting private jets. They started building compounds. Like everything just like level. And because you could get in Saturday, and then you could get out Saturday night, and then you could be back riding Monday. Whereas, and it's like, maybe there's an argument for that, like not being the best thing for like the athletes themselves, or maybe that's like not the best thing for like longevity and careers, maybe. Whereas you look at like this side, you're all in the same boat. Like you all have to get here, you all have to do the travel. There's not really going to be a bunch of tracks, and then it's like everything comes down to, like you said, that good amount of time that you get on Friday. So it's not like anyone's getting any crazy advantage over anyone else. It's sort of, maybe it does kind of like roll back a bit of that kind of like pressure.
Yeah, I mean, and like the series is doing a really good job at, like, they're setting up all these promotions. So it's like when you look at it on paper, you're like, man, I got to leave on Monday, so I'm there on Wednesday to do these promotions that they have set up. But then they make them so fun and treat us so well when we come in and do stuff. So it just makes it more relaxing and more enjoyable. You get to take everything in. And then you have, the Friday practice, we get almost an hour of practice, it seemed like. And I think that me personally, like, I get the track dialed in like 2 laps, and I don't get much faster like as the night goes on. But I seen that, guys that didn't look good on Friday, they had all day Saturday to figure it out again. And I think that's what made the racing so much kind of closer.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, oh, the track's easy. No, the track wasn't easy. The track, we just had we had more time than we normally do to dial in all these sections and make everybody looked better.
Yeah.
Like the track,
yeah.
nobody looked good first couple practices on Friday.
Yeah.
I mean, a few people did, but it wasn't like everybody was just on fire. And then by Saturday, like, everybody kind of had the lines dialed. Everybody was doing similar things. Everybody kind of figured out what worked. And I think that made the racing tighter than, there was like 9 of us within a second or something like that at Tomac.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't think it was...
Which doesn't happen that much in the States.
No, it does, but, there's the talent pool in the States there's a pretty, there's those guys are on fire, like they're all firing on all cylinders. And for a pre-race event like this, and for all of us to be that close in times, was it was good. And the track, it wasn't easy.
Yeah, and I think you made a good point before. Like, I think maybe, I don't know, like maybe it's just the internet and how the internet works, but it seems like everyone just got like super into the whole like Feld versus WSX, and like, but what you're saying is right. Like, whether it was a straight reaction to this series that like brought Feld and MX Sports together, or whether it was just like purely coincidence, it sort of like doesn't matter in the end, right? Like, what matters is that there's way more seats now. There's way more teams that like need to fill. Like, a great example is like MDK. So Chad's out this weekend, and then is Grant here?
I think Grant's out too.
Yeah. So then there's 2 spots that legit have to get filled. Yeah. Otherwise, they don't get the money, the start money that the team gets.
I think they get fined.
Yeah. So it's like, that's great, because you go in other series where it's like, nah, we'll just put all our effort into this one guy now. Yeah. And it's like, that's cool, but now we're in a position where you like have to find some talent. Guess who gets a shot in the big show on Saturday night? Jackson Richardson. Yeah. One of them, like, the crowd here will lose their shit for him. Like, he's one of Australia's like most favorite riders. So it's like, that's a great deal. Like, MDK, let's say it's in the AMA where like a team ain't going to get fined for not having a guy. Like, that bike will sit under the truck and they'll put their energy. So, like, that's a really good thing. So I think that, yeah, you know, kind of through all the noise, which has been admittedly pretty fun to like deal with, like the riders win and the fans win out of this no matter what.
Yeah, and I mean, there's just more money being circulated in the sport. You know, we like the Supercross in the States, they found like what $6 million more. This series is putting like another, you know, that again at least, you know, for money, you know, for guys to come in the next couple of years. Like that's what, like $12 million that just grew for
the pie gets bigger.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, so and I think yeah, it's been fun to deal with like all that, but I think that like the dust is slowly going to settle on it all. And then we're just going to see that, like, this is really good for everyone. Like, this is just, like, net positive, you know? And I think about, you know, like, your brother. He's a guy that he didn't get to... You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Is there a water bottle up there? Get the man some water. Let's go.
Ah, sorry.
Yeah, like, you know, your brother's a guy that, like, we didn't get to see him a lot in, you know, Supercross last year. Like, and I think when you really do think about it, there is kind of a bunch of guys that, you know, whether it's, like, they just don't land in the right spot or, you know, like circumstance kind of keeps them from, you know, like really being able to do that thing.
Well, I mean, too, in the States, like there's just a level of bikes that if you're not on those bikes, it's not, you know. But, you know, here you've got teams that they're locked in. They have to have two 450s, two 250s. So if somebody gets hurt, there's still good bikes available on the market. And there's 20 or, you know, 42 more bikes that need riders for the sport. So however you look at it, you know, whichever, you know, you can have your series and go with it. And, you know, if you're over here, you're probably excited about WSX. If you're in the States, you're like, oh, you know, we already got Supercross. Like, what are they doing?
Yeah.
And great, you know, like have that opinion. That's up to you. But for just the sport in general, competition's always good, in my opinion. And, you know, I think for what's going on with the SMX and all that stuff in the States, I think it's great for the States. You know, it's good. And, you know, I think they're trying to make it like a playoff series, right? You know, you do all these races and then they put all this emphasis on these 3 races because people have a short attention span, right?
Yeah.
So the SMX Cup is going to be great for that. But if you're not one of the top 3 guys and, you know, if you're not the, you know, top 3 guy in 250 and 450, I don't know if it's as beneficial for you. You know, it's going to be greatly beneficial for those guys. Yeah. But if you're just a, you know, 15th through, you know, whatever place guy, you know, it's probably not going to have that life-changing effect for you, right?
Yeah.
And then, you know, in this series, you have guys, you know, have half the top 10 is, you know, in the States is in this series. So it broadens it out for everybody and kind of spreads it around. So I think I'm stoked. I think this group of guys knows how to put on an event as good as anybody in the world. Yeah. So if if it's coming to your city and you get a chance to be there, you're going to be stoked. It's going to be great. You know, they put on arguably for the crowd live as good or better of a race as anywhere. So that's, you know, I think everybody's winning.
Yeah. And I think that over time,
thanks, man.
Yeah. I just think over time that's like going to come out too. And it's like, it is different, you know, like I never really want to see, like the AMA stuff change. Like Supercross in America is dope as fuck. Like we don't really need that to change, but I also ain't mad at a completely different show and like DJs and like freestyle in the middle of it. And, you know, like all of, I guess just like the different way that they kind of go about making an event.
For sure. I mean, I think any time that there's something that's fresh and like you get a new eyes and like, hey, let's see if this works, or hey, we don't really like this, let's change that up. It's always good, you know, and keeps everybody on their toes. And the way you train for this is a little bit different.
What are we up to here?
Is this Sarah McLachlan?
This is a weird track.
Is this one of those like send money for pets?
Josh, I love you. And I've been waiting for a long time. We've done like 4 podcasts together. And,
one of these days I gotta actually come to the Gold Coast and hang out.
Yeah, what's the plan? Have you got any for that?
I was gonna come, and flights were so expensive that I found like a crazy cheap flight in and out of Hawaii.
Oh,
so
sick.
I was like, Molly, you want to just do a little honeymoon in Hawaii instead? And like it just worked out. I mean, it was gonna save me like so much money, so he's
How, dude, the flights internal, while there's like this going on, we can just talk about some random shit. The flights right now inside of Australia are so ridiculously expensive. I don't understand what's going on.
It only cost me, it was $500 to go from Charlotte to Honolulu, and then another $500 to go from Honolulu to here. And it was like going to be $5,000 round trip if I just didn't, if I went a different way, the way it worked out. So yeah, I was like, Hawaii's a great place. I got some friends there. I'm like, we'll just go relax there for a couple
What island
days.
are you going to go to?
I think we're going to bounce around a little bit. Like we're just, Honolulu's like the big airport. So we'll
Yeah.
go into Oahu, and then I got some friends there that have a track there, so I might ride one day.
Oh,
And
sick.
he's got, so, and then I got another buddy. He's like my old roommate, just one day like up and moved to Hawaii. I gotta actually find his number, or I'm just gonna show up at his doorstep. He just ghosted everybody, and he's just Hawaiian now. I don't know, but I'm gonna find him.
That's epic.
Yeah.
Kauai's pretty dope.
That's what I heard. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I've
that
always
place
wanted to
is
go
sick.
there.
Yeah.
But
That's where we did that Dream Ride 2 shoot.
that's right. That was sick.
Yeah, yeah. That,
Is that still there?
dude, that track's probably still there.
It's
That'd
probably
be a good
It's
vlog.
probably a jungle now.
Well, so we built it, and then part of the deal of like building that track, because it was like a local, it was literally, they just like mowed some shit in the grass there,
Yeah.
and then they built some singles with like no landings. You know the kind of like singles you build as a kid where you just like dig it out and then you pop it in the
Yeah.
dirt on the top. So yeah, that's all it was. So we built like that legit track, and then we just smoothed everything out to make it so that the locals like had a track after.
Yeah.
So like it probably is still there.
I remember that video was sick. You had, wasn't it Keisha?
Keisha. I was getting,
and,
anytime you have Keisha and
yeah.
Malcolm in a video.
Yeah, Keisha and Malcolm. And just the jumps were good. Those guys were tossing sick whips. It was just a badass.
Billy
video.
Swap built that track. Do you remember Billy
Yeah,
Swap?
yeah.
Yeah, that's the dude that
He
built
used to
all
build
the
tracks, all the tracks back in the day.
So he literally moved to Kauai after that shoot. So he did that. Like I got him to come over, build that track, and then he fucking never left. Like he
Yeah.
had a kid there and everything. Like he's still living over there.
That's wild.
Random as hell.
Is this like the Grammys? This our wrap it up music?
Yeah, yeah. What time do you? I used to go a little bit.
Ah, okay, we're good. We're chilling.
What are you looking forward to for next year? There's some crazy shit going on.
Well, I'm to be honest, like what I'm most looking forward to, like really doesn't even involve me. I'm just pumped that Justin's back, my little brother.
Dude,
Like
I agree completely.
he's so sick at riding. He's got a good opportunity. He's going to be on the Team Tedder deal. I'm pretty, like, it's looking like I'm going to be with him and, like, probably do, like, select rounds, like 10 rounds or something.
Yeah, okay.
So, I'll get to go out.
Dude,
and,
do all 50.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm doing good, hell, I'll stick around. But I want to leave some room in there to do, free ride projects and videos
Yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff. Every once in a while, maybe there's a couple of rounds that I don't need to go to so I can focus on some other things. And, we'll just see. I mean, if I'm knocking on the door at top 10 every weekend, then maybe I won't,
Yeah.
So maybe I'll just go to all of them. But either way, I'm stoked to be able to. I've never been a teammate with my brother. I've never even got to train with him. Like since we've been pro, we've never been like in the same. Never been able to ride the same tracks. Like I'd be on RCH and he'd be on PC, or he'd be on KTM and I'd be somewhere. We couldn't. We're separated.
Yeah.
So now we're. That's going to change, and I think he's fired up, and I swear that if he wants it, his racing career, his best days are still in front of him.
Yeah.
He seems fired up, and that makes me happy.
Straight Rhythm was a really good indication of just how talented that little motherfucker is.
He's good.
Like he's a G, bro.
Dude, he's funny. Like all summer, I was up doing the Big Hill Jam event,
Yeah.
and I've got the I'm out there building jumps and building stuff, and like I'm always going out and wanting to ride. Like I'm in Oregon, and I only have a couple of buddies that really ride, and and even less that are like on the level of wanting to just to get gnarly and do stuff. So I'm begging Justin to ride, and he's like, oh no, maybe tomorrow. Doesn't ride, and then the event comes around, and I'm like, I order him gear. I lay it out for him. I have somebody come and like fix his bike up and prep it and make sure it's got the right, everything on it. And he's like, yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna ride. I'm like, dude, you have to ride. Put gear up. Let's go. Everything's there for you.
Yeah.
And he puts on. He had like Fox gear. He's like, oh, I kind of like this stuff. This is sick. All right. And then he just goes out and smashes everybody. Smokes me on just a stock Honda, like with some suspension. And he's so talented. It's stupid. it's like effortless to him. So I'm stoked to have him back. He quit. He worked at a tire shop. If you just pulled in and he needed new tires for because he had downtime in between him becoming a cop and his racing
So
thing.
he was trying to be a cop.
Well, he was a cop.
What?
Yeah, he was a sheriff's deputy in Oregon for a little bit, and so he did. He went from.
He'd actually be a pretty good cop.
I mean, I think he would have. I just don't know if becoming a cop in Oregon at this time is like the the most respected spot, and just there's just a lot of
Oregon's got some weird stuff going
weird
on.
laws and some weird turmoil there, I guess, and I don't know. He just I don't know if he tried it for a little while and just decided that he didn't think that was gonna make him feel fulfilled and be as happy as he thought it would be in the beginning. So he stopped that, and then he just bought like 300 acres in Wyoming, and I think he thought he was gonna he watched like Yellowstone or something, and he's gonna be a rancher or something. So he still got that, and it's sick. It's like backed up to like all this like sick free ride land, like thousands and thousands of miles of free riding. So hopefully we'll get to utilize that one of these days. But yeah, I don't know. Now he's back, he's racing, and he's as good as ever. So if he's has a good off season, stays healthy, because last year he was gonna race.
Yeah.
And he had a countershaft sprocket blow up on a triple onto a tabletop and a triple off.
Yeah.
And it just exploded on the step off part. And he packed himself in, and he got like a grade 5 separation. And if you listen to some of the media out there, like, oh, he took all this money and he didn't ride and he wasn't hurt, and no, that's not the case. A, he didn't get paid past his his crash at all, and B, he had a grade 5 separation of his shoulder that he couldn't even move it for like 3-4 months. But he's made a full recovery and he's fired up, and I'm his biggest cheerleader, and I know he could go out and, I mean, top 5s I think are realistic for him, and podiums is what, if I was him, would be my goal.
Well, we talked about it, like his I can't remember when we talked about it. Maybe we were in Barcelona, but dude, his debut on that 450, was it? It was a
Tampa.
Florida round, right?
Yeah,
it was Tampa. Dude, I was like, he was on for the win that night, and there was one turn, I'm pretty sure it was like a 90 left after the finish line, and it was, dude, like, just no one was even close to him in like that turn, and just to have something so basic like landing ramp, left hand 90-degree turn, to be like a second faster than everybody else in that is just talent.
And he was doing that quad that nobody else was doing. Baggett, I think, did it, but then Baggett clipped it and went into the net.
Yeah.
And then Justin was the only one doing it, and he was like doing it in traffic, like making passes. Like he's just he's insanely talented, and he's just always been that kid that, he's so good at riding. And when I was young, it was like all the attention from my family and sponsors, everything was like on me as a kid.
Yeah.
But then Justin would just like, if he felt like it, he'd just show up and go unbeat at like, at Loretta, or not Loretta's, at like World Minis and all this kind of, like, dude, he would just go out and win every single moto, and then then maybe the next year he'd be like miss his moto because he was off making a little dirt bike track or riding a bicycle. Like he just wouldn't, it's like when he was focused on it and wanted it, he could literally just go out and destroy everybody. And then but I think as you get older, he's realizing that what a great opportunity he has, and what a great talent he has, and taking a couple years off and changing tires for a living and becoming a cop and doing some real world stuff, it gives you a different perspective. I mean, I thought I was done riding dirt bikes at 25, and I took a job at Monster Energy and was like in the office and doing all that kind of stuff, writing contracts, and I loved it. I mean, that was the greatest. I had the greatest bosses. It was the coolest company.
But you could do that when the talent for riding a dirt bike is no longer relevant.
I just, you kind of miss that, pushing yourself, having a goal. I was going out and I was celebrating somebody doing something great all the time, but I was never, it was never, nothing feels as good as when you accomplish something for yourself, and when you have that, that unique ability to do it like he does. I think this time around when he starts to have some success again, I think it's gonna feel so much sweeter, and then he probably won't want to let go of that.
Man, and like for me sitting here as a person that just does not have that, like that's never gonna be on my cards, and it's like, that's, I think, from a fan's perspective, like I mean, I can do other things in my own way, but like to have that level of talent to ride a bike and to know you could go out there, like Justin Hill could 100% podium a 450 main event next year, and to like have that level of ability and not use it. I mean, I look at that, I'm like, that seems crazy to me, you know?
Yeah. You're selling yourself short. You got a great thing going. You got a lot of things to be proud of and a lot of accomplishments over the years. You know, what you got built is awesome. I remember when you first started up, and to see how big it's become, and the names you're getting on here. It's like you got some attaboys in there.
Oh, I appreciate that, but I mean, from like a riding perspective, you know, like it's
straight
just
physical, you know,
yeah, like for
contest,
just,
but
but like for just to, I guess what I'm trying to say, just like makes me happy that there's someone out there that can do something that like 99% of the world can't do, and then they're gonna go and do that thing. It's like it feels like he should be kind of doing that, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pumped, and then he seems like, you know, the crew chief on the Team Tedder. It's Sean Bell, who was his mechanic when he won his championship. He was my mechanic when, you know, I was at RCH, and just like an awesome guy. And then, you know, the Tedder team, it's, you know, it's a family organization.
Yeah.
It's the family runs it. They're passionate about motorcycles, and luckily, you know, the company that they've built they want to advertise in racing, and they want to have you know,
do the corporate deal.
It's their thing, you know, that's what they grew up doing. It's their roots, and they're in a position to continue it and give a couple of bikes for guys to try to go out there and succeed. So it's all around a cool
they're
thing.
Honestly an underrated family in motorsports, I think. Like, they've probably always flown a little bit under the radar, but in terms of like the opportunities that they've given to people within the industry, like the money that they've spent, the people that they've helped, like, you know, the relationships that they've kept going, I actually think they're pretty underrated. I think especially for what they did for you this year as well, like to pretty much just let you run your own program. You can still go and ride a Stark. You can be like the asset to the moto community that I guess like you can be, or like use your full potential, to just like have them support that, and then now to have you guys under the same tent, like that's pretty dope.
Yeah, and I mean the family, the Tedders, like I grew up at the, you know, like the same age as Dakota or close to, and all the kids. Like I think at one point I think all 5 brothers were racing, and then the dad raced, and he would go win the vet stuff. So I mean they've been around for years, and it's just cool that they're gonna continue it past, you know, all the Tedder boys wanting to pursue their racing careers. You know, now Dakota's overseeing the team.
Yeah, I was going to ask, so does Dakota run the team?
Yeah, he's essentially like, he runs it. You know, his dad is really involved. But then on like the technical side, like Sean Bell is going to be running, you know, the technical side, the building the bikes, you know, what parts and all that we're going to run. So, you know, it's not a factory effort, but you know, the equipment, they don't cut corners, you know, because somebody will give them something or pay them to run some part that doesn't work.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing. Like, you know, some of these teams, you don't realize it until you go through it, but sometimes the parts that go on your bike, you wouldn't put on your bike yourself, but there's a contractual reason that it's on there, and you can. With these guys, you don't have to worry about that. You know, these things it's not factory, but it's solid.
Well, so that's actually like I guess a little bit of a question. I'll let you get out of here after this.
Yeah, no,
so that was like a little bit of a question with this series, especially with like Kenny's deal, like the way that went down. Like, so no more HRC. But I mean, I've been saying it for a few podcasts, like, we're just racing fucking dirt bikes. Like, we ain't racing Formula One. Like, you don't need to have that crazy level. Like, you don't need a factory bike. But am I like wrong in saying that? Like, let's say you've got like $100,000 to spend on a 450 Supercross race bike. Like, do you need factory parts if you're Ken Roczen? Like, can he build his own bike next year and be competitive? Or is he now fucked without a factory Honda?
No, not at all. With where he's at, where Ken is at, I feel like if Ken just you know, he's got, you know, like if it's Mitch Payton or whoever he goes with, whoever, like people are going to want to see him succeed and be involved with him, and he's going to get good equipment, and he's going to get comparable equipment. Maybe it's not, you know, maybe there's something somebody has that's, you know, just a little bit, you know, once that gives them some sort of mental, you know, gain, or, you know, there's something that they like, and, you know, maybe he'll run into a snag where he can't get a part he likes, and is that going to make or break him? Probably not. If he's happy and he's excited about what he's doing and he's passionate and he's doing it for himself, then he's probably not going to sit there and dwell on, oh, I can't change that one part. Where if you got somebody that's controlling you and you're racing for somebody else, and you think there's something you want to do and you don't know why, but they won't do it.
Yeah.
Sometimes that'll eat at you worse than being in the situation where, oh, I can't get this. This is why I can't get this. Put it out of my brain, build my bike, go race, and go try to win, and then show everybody, I can win without that. That it's just two different mindsets when you're doing something for yourself or if you're doing it for somebody else. I think if it's all, if Ken finds that want to do it, and he finds that just burning desire to be a champ, he could do it on anything.
Well, so I'm pretty sure in 16 when he won his outdoor championship, like he kind of went away from like factory suspension and like did his own thing for a little bit. Like he's kind of always been that guy in a sense too, right?
I don't really know. I haven't, to be honest, been around him, in his testing or any of that stuff. Like he went to RCH the year after I left RCH, so I don't know what that process was like. But I mean, just based off a sheer talent level and what kind of equipment you can get if you're just buying equipment.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think in the 250 class, it's much harder to be competitive.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
But in the 450 class, I think if you have, $100,000 to put it building your motorcycle, you're going to be within, the only thing you might struggle to get is if you want to change your transmission, or if you want to just do like some out there things that might cost a lot of money. But even then, if he wants it bad enough and he's got some sponsor and support, there's people that make parts. You can get it done. It's just going to take you maybe a little bit longer than if you're factory team and you can just walk into the back into the CNC and go get it made.
Yeah.
That's really the only difference. But having that freedom to do what you want and doing it for yourself
could be worth
I don't
more.
think is ever a bad thing.
Yeah.
All
right, we're done.
We're
You're
good.
the man.
Thanks,
I miss you, bro, and
Miss you too.
I'm stoked that you're here, and we'll hang out for the rest of the weekend.
We'll be around.
Good luck. Hey, get that chip, bro.
I just need to start.
Get that chip.
Start. Thanks, man.
If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. And to listen to the full 3-hour podcast, search Gypsy Tales in your favorite podcast platform or click the link in the description below. Gypsy Gang.